Greetings, I'm Professor Hobo, and welcome to another HOBOTECH News product review. Growatt, a globally renowned manufacturer of quality inverters and batteries, entered the portable power station market a few years back and has just released a new 2 kilowatt-hour lithium iron phosphate UPS power station at a very competitive price. This model is the Infinity 2000. It's their first power station and offers modular battery expansion up to 6.1 kilowatt hours, but unlike most of the competition, is affordably priced at the low end of 50 cents per watt hour. But is it any good? Let's find out. The Infinity 2000 sports a 2048 watt-hour lithium iron phosphate battery rated at 4,000 cycles to 80% capacity and supports up to 2 additional 2 kilowatt-hour expansion batteries for a total of 6.1 kilowatt hours. As for size and weight, the main unit is approximately 18 by 12 by 10 inches and weighs in at around 51 pounds. Each of these expansion batteries is the same dimension, but rolls in at only 40 pounds. The display is the same as we've seen before in previous Growatt products and offers a color LCD that shows input-output watts, time to charge and discharge, as well as battery icon with stated charge percentage. As for the inverter, this unit's pack-in a 2200 watt-hour pure sine inverter with 3 20-amp outlets and a 30-amp TT30R outlet, otherwise known as a 30-amp RV hookup. As for ways to charge, the Growatt offers the typical 3, from AC power up to 1800 watts. That's using the included power cord. There is no brick. The charger's built in. It'll charge up to 1800 watts, good for topping up from 0 to full in about 90 minutes. Of course, the second option is from solar using a 1000 watt 12 to 60 volt MPPT controller, and that takes about 3 hours to top up from dead to full under ideal conditions. It does come with a nice long MC4 to XT60i connector. Last and certainly least, from 12 or 24 volt vehicle with the included car adapter, that is locked in at 8 amps, and it takes about 20 hours to charge at 12 volts or 10 hours from 24 volts. They also include this 5521 cord for some reason. I have no idea what they use it for. As for 12 volt output types, the 2000 offers a standard cigarette lighter socket rated 10 amps or 120 watts, a pair of 5521 barrel plug outputs rated at 5 amps, and the coveted 30 amp Anderson power pole output, which is great for hooking up to a fuse box. All these 12 volt outputs are regulated at 13 volts. Now, as for USB outputs, the Growatt has a whopping 4, count them, USB-A 18 watt quick charge ports, no dummy ports here, and a pair of 100 watt power delivery USB-C outputs. Note that there are no bidirectional USB charging ports, nor are there any wireless charging pads on top. This product does also support the MyGrow mobile app via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and for the truly paranoid, both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth transmitters can actually be disabled by pushing this physical button right here that says IoT. It will actually turn off the transmitters. As for the warranty, Growatt does offer a competitive 5-year manufacturer's warranty. And of course, I took the Growatt here into my secret laboratory where I performed all kinds of crazy experiments on it, including, yes of course, a double-fisted battery capacity test. As for the results of the DC battery capacity test, it scored 1,690 watt-hours out of 2,048 for 83%. Now, this was tested pulling 20 amps from the Anderson power pole for about 6.5 hours. As for the results of the AC battery capacity test, it scored a much more respectable 1,840 watt-hours out of 2048 for 90%. And of course, I also did the parasitic drain or phantom load test, where I ran the inverter for 4 hours and then extrapolated how much power it would run just sitting idle over a 24-hour period. Also did that with the 12 volt output, ran that for 12 hours to extrapolate 24 hours. So DC was first. It actually used 0 watt-hours over 12 hours. Now, the reason for that is the circuitry is well designed. It only wastes power when something is plugged into it. So as long as nothing's plugged into it and you leave it turned on, it'll sit here and say 99% for pretty much forever until I guess the LCD uses up enough power to cause it to count down. But yeah, over 12 hours, 0. And that means if you're one of the people who like to plug 12-volt refrigerators into this is going to be the perfect product for you, because that means while your refrigerator is not running, it's not going to waste any power at idle. Now, AC consumption was, of course, a different story because all inverters do waste power sitting at idle. And this one actually used 208 watt-hours over 4 hours, or extrapolated to 832 watt-hours over 24 hours. That means if you left the AC inverter on just like that, it would totally kill the battery dead in about 2.5 days. Now, this is a typical result for a mid-sized power station with a 2200 watt inverter. The larger the inverter, the more it wastes. So I'm always asked how long stuff's going to run on these power stations. So compensating for usable capacity, you can pause this chart I'm going to put up on the screen to see approximately how long common appliances will run on this unit. Pure sine wave check under load. 120 volts, 60 hertz, perfect sine wave. Inverter capacity test where we push the inverter as hard as we can. This has a 2200 watt pure sine inverter. Let's see what it can do. We're going to start at the baseline, 2200 watts, and take it from there. 2300, and we get a warning. 2400, 2500, 2600, 2700, 2800. 2800, it shuts down. 5-minute sustained cooling or heat soak test. This is where we push the inverter at its rated capacity for at least 5 minutes to make sure it doesn't do anything crazy like start smoking, drinking, carrying on, TPing its neighbor's house, putting sugar in the gas tank, forgetting to do its homework. We want to make sure that this does not misbehave. Okay, there we are at 2200 watts. Let's see if we can make it to 5 minutes. Here we are coming up on 5 minutes. No problems at 2200 watts. It is a little noisy, but no weird smells or anything out of the ordinary. The fan on this is definitely no EcoFlow or BLUETTI, but let's see how loud it is from a meter away. 58 decibels, that's a little on the loud side.
I'm afraid you're just too darn loud. Next, please.
Max charge rate test, we're going to start with the DC side of things. I have it charging at 12 volts. It looks like it is internally limited on the Growatt to 8.2 amps, and that's giving us 95 watts. Let's go ahead and increase to 24 volts. 24 volts, it's still hard limited to 8.2 amps, and it allows us to charge 195 watts. This is standard across the board for most power stations. So say you want to charge with a 48 volt server rack battery or another 48 volt source. How fast can you charge the Growatt? Let's see, we'll take it up to 48 volts. The typical 48 volt battery runs around 50 volts, so that's where we will stop and we will see. Looks like it's maxing out the amps here. All right, so in the manual, it says it supports from 12 to 60 volts, 1000 watts max, but it doesn't mention anything about an amp limit on the input. It's pushing my charger here at 20 amps, so it looks like it can handle up to 20 amps on the input. There you go, 860 watts. The maximum is 60 volts. Let's take it all the way to the top. There we have it. We hit the 1000 watt cap at 60 volts. It looks like the only way to get 1000 watts of solar into this is to somehow magically get it up to 60 volts. That's not necessarily the easiest thing to do with solar panels. Now, the upside is that while charging at 1000 watts, it's actually a lot quieter than the inverter. Let's see. 46 decibels, that's much better. Now, what about AC charging rates? So inside the app, AC charge mode actually gives you options between quiet charge and supercharge, but you can also just slide the slider to whatever you want. So you can just choose whatever you want, and that's fine. Now, supercharge, we'll put it up at 1800 watts, that's the maximum, and quiet charge, we'll put it down to 400 watts. So let's start at supercharge. All right, so currently it's doing 1700 watts. I've seen it do a little bit more. You gotta remember we are at 86% state of charge, and I have been running this battery pretty hard. I have seen it do 1800, but for right now it's 1700, that's close enough, we'll call that a pass. Okay, 51 decibels on super fast charge. All right, we're gonna switch over to quiet charge. There you have it, 400 watts on quiet charge. Now I don't hear the fans running at all. Let's check the decibels. 43 decibels, that is whisper quiet. Doesn't get much quieter than that in this room. Does the Growatt support simultaneous charging from two sources, AC and solar at the same time? Yes, it does, for a much improved speed. See right there, 2300. And by the way, that is solar priority charging, meaning it will take as much power from solar as it possibly can and use the minimum amount of AC mains wall power so that you save electricity. Next test, UPS or pass-through charging test. Now, I went through all the documentation provided from Growatt. There's no mention of a UPS mode or how many millisecond switchover time it has, but I'm pretty darn sure this thing has a UPS mode. So let's go ahead and test it out. I have my new PC that I put together. If you want to see all about this PC, go back several videos a month or two ago. I did a whole build on this $125 PC. You can see it is streaming a 4K YouTube video right now, no problem. So I do have a load on the computer. It is running through this switch. So PC is running from here, and I'm charging from the grid using this little box plugged into the wall. So I've not done this yet. We're gonna find out here in a few seconds. Does the Growatt switch over fast enough to keep a PC running? Okay, place your bets. 3, 2, 1. Yep, PC's still running. It didn't hesitate whatsoever. And yep, it is running at 55 watts. So let's go ahead and turn the PC back on. So I'll go ahead and turn the power back on, and it didn't affect whatsoever the PC running. So you can see here it keeps charging the battery and discharging the battery, switching back and forth. So it's definitely 20 milliseconds or faster, otherwise this PC would just... Let's move on to the 12 volt system. You can see here it is regulated at 13 volts, so it is a regulated 12 volt output. Let's go ahead and make sure it can do 10 amps as it says in the manual. There we go, it can do 10 amps and it still holds 12 volts, so that does actually pass the test. Now, this also offers a 30 amp Anderson output. So yes, 30 amps at 12 volts through an Anderson connector. So I have these heavy duty wires going up to a 1000 watt inverter, and I got a little heater up here. It's a 250 watt heater. So you can see here, it supports 360 watts of output. That is 30 amps at 12 volts. USB check. This has two 100 watt USB-C power delivery outputs. I have two power bends here. We're going to charge them both simultaneously and make sure this can output 200 watts from these two USB ports. There you have it. It is outputting 190 watts USB to both of these power bends. Amp interference test. This is to determine, is the inverter in the Growatt clean or dirty? Because a clean inverter will allow you to power a power amp or an amplifier, ham radio, anything that you wear, headphones, stereo, whatever. You want that power to be clean going in, otherwise you'll get a buzz through the speakers. So we're hoping that Growatt did their due diligence and made this inverter clean. So let's find out. And it sounds pretty good to me. Just to supplement that last test, there was a very, very slight buzz coming through the speaker. I couldn't hear it when the amp was up here, but when I went to move the amp, I kind of heard it, a little tiny bit of a buzz. I don't think it's a serious problem. AM radio test. We're gonna see how much AM radio interference that this thing puts off. So I'm gonna sit it right here. It's currently turned off. I have it tuned to a dead channel. Let's first turn it on, DC. All right, so this does make some pretty crazy UFO type noises coming out of it when the inverter's on. Turn the inverter off, that weird bup, 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 bup goes away. Turn the USB off, and it gets quieter. The DC doesn't seem to have any kind of interference. Electromagnetic interference test. We are currently reading 4, 13, 9, so around 10 or less. It seems to drop down. Put it here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the power station on and see what happens. I'm gonna turn off the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on this because that's gonna cause additional interference. There we go, that seems to be better. I forgot this does actually have a transmitter inside, so that would actually cause some interference. So pretty good, just turned on. Let's do USB. It ticked up again really high. And it's staying there, 55. So let's turn that off. Let's go with DC. DC is not really causing anything. It's still normal. Now, the inverter is usually the big one. So let's turn the inverter on. 70, 60. It's in the 70s, and this is pretty typical for an inverter at this range. Turn off the inverter. You can see it immediately drops back down. So the electromagnetic interference on this is moderate. Okay, we'll quickly check out the Growatt app. In case you haven't seen it before, it really hasn't changed in the last year or two. So you got input and output at the top here. You can switch over to output and it'll show you the output. Input shows you the input, obviously. I can turn on the inverter, and if you have the expansion battery hooked up, it'll tell you there how much power. And then the settings, just like in EcoFlow, you can go in here and change the charge and discharge limit from 30% all the way to 70%, if that's if you want to extend the life of the battery. AC charge mode, we showed you this earlier with supercharge. So AC output mode, this is a feature that a lot of people ask for. Do you want it manually to be on, always to be on, or automatically to come on? So if the battery is dead and you want the inverter to come back on when it gets solar, you can go ahead and choose one of those settings. Same thing with DC USB. You can tell it to stay on all the time if you really want to. And of course you have your timeout settings here. You can change the beeps, you can change the screen brightness. This is also where you do your firmware upgrade. You can see I've already done the firmware upgrade. This is the version that I'm on right now. And that's all she wrote. Now it's time for the literal elephant in the room, which is the Growatt add-on battery. Now this battery is exactly a duplicated copy of the power station minus the inverter and AC charger. So it has all the same USB ports, all the same outputs. It doesn't have the 30 amp output for some reason, but I guess they decided that wasn't necessary. But it even has a solar port on the side, just like the solar port here. So yes, you can separately solar charge their external battery. Now it is 2 kilowatt hours, just like this, so you would be doubling your power. And the cable is actually inside this little compartment. You take it out. Not very long. Again, they didn't get the 90-degree bend memo yet. This does have 2 battery ports on the side and one here for the power station. So you just click them in. Okay, once they're clicked in, you have them connected together with this giant loop of cable. Turn on the power. It turns on the power of the remote battery or the external battery. You can see this one's charged to 49%, this one's charged to 90%. There is no recalculation being done here. The percent you see there is for this unit, the percent you see here is for this unit. So as you hook up multiple batteries to this, it doesn't recalculate anything. Just keep that in mind. This is nice that it has all these extra USBs and an extra 12 volt, and it can be solar charged. It says the extra battery is 40 pounds. And it says that this is 51 pounds. Okay, so the external battery can only charge at 500 watts of solar, or the main system can charge at 1,000. Now, can you charge them both at the same time? Yes, because they are treated as separate batteries. So you can put 500 in here, 1,000 in here. That's really all there is to it. So what do I think about the Growatt Infinity 2000? Growatt as a brand makes some pretty good stuff, and I've never had any major issues with the ones I tested in the past, and this one is no exception. It's a pretty well polished machine that passed all the tests. It does what it set out to do, and it does it in a much more attractive package than the previous model that viewers said looks like an anvil. So this is definitely an updated design. It looks a lot better. What is important is that this model improves on previous models, and I can say in 2024, Growatt is now a serious competitor, especially when they're outpricing those major competitors. Now, as for that price, the Growatt Infinity 2000 is currently on sale for a limited time for $13.99. which is only 68 cents per watt hour. And while this price is on par with the competing BLUETTI AC200L, the BLUETTI doesn't offer that coveted 30 amp DC Anderson output unless you buy an extra $200 add-on module, so that kind of blows that out of the park. The EcoFlow Delta 2 Max, which is another product in the same size and class, actually costs several $100s more than the Growatt. But with the Growatt, you actually get a free solar panel with your purchase and that same 5-year warranty. So Growatt is actually offering more value than the competition. However, if you really want to blow those guys out of the water when it comes to price per watt hour, check out the bundle deal with either 1 or 2 additional batteries. If you get the Infinity 2000 with the extra 2 kilowatt hour battery, so you'll have 4 kilowatt hours of power total, the price is only $22.99, and that includes the power station, or only 56 cents per watt hour. That's a full 12 cents cheaper for doubling your juice. Now you can also max out the 2000 with 2 extra batteries for a total of 6.1 kilowatt hours. That's a lot of power. The total for that is $32.99. which brings that bundle price down to 53 cents per watt hour. Now that 53 cents per watt hour is from a reputable brand offering a 5-year warranty, not some unpronounceable random name generator band or one synonymous with a man sausage. Now unfortunately Growatt didn't offer a discount code this time around since that price was already really low, but they did say that all sogen purchases through June 2nd will score a free 100-watt solar panel, so that's a pretty nice bonus. So if you're interested in this product, the link is going to be in the description of this video. I'm also going to put a link here at the bottom of the screen along with a QR code that you can scan with your mobile device if you're watching me on TV. It'll take you on over to the Growatt store page where you can check out the Infinity 2000. Thanks for watching, and if you learned something today, don't forget to give me that thumbs up below, and if you're not a subscriber already, you know what to do. That's it for now. Till next time.
Odin commands you to like and subscribe, and clean my litter box.
If your search for a sogen is a pain in the neck, go to YouTube and watch HOBOTECH, cause he's a testing this and he's a probing that. He's even been probing Odin's cat. If you wanna get all the sogen back, go to HOBOTECH. Yeah!